All right, what's going on, my friends? Now 3 o'clock. Chad here. Trailblazers hammer the Timberwolves 106-98. Back-to-back wins for Portland over Minnesota. Donovan Clingan was the star. 17 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 blocks. Said it was a blast.
It was a lot of fun. I feel like these past 2 games, we really just turned around and, there's nothing better than everyone on the floor having fun. And I feel like that really showed tonight, and it was a great night for the team.
How about Shaden Sharp, career high 33 points? The Blazers get 3 days off. They host the Atlanta Hawks Sunday at Moda. Tip at 3. Our coverage starts at 1 with Blazers Game Day. Live from Moda Center with Chris Burkhardt. It's all presented by Coors Light. Thursday Night Football on Prime. It's a good one. Commanders at the Eagles. Top spot in the NFC East is on the line. Kickoff at 5:15. Philly favored by 4. Oregon State will play Air Force Saturday in Colorado Springs. 12:30 kick, pregame at 10:30 on your home of the Beavs, 1190 KEX. OSU favored by 3.5. Number 1, Oregon is at Wisconsin. 4:30 NBC, Ducks favored by 14.
It's time for the Rip City Drive, brought to you by Lazy Boy. What's your strategy for comfort? Featuring the crazy and often irrational longtime Portland radio vet, Chad Dewing.
Works into the lane, stops, fades, short. Shaden Sharp with a putback, cocked it back and slammed it down. My goodness. Woo!
And I think that there's a lot to be gained from honesty. And we addressed those things, and it's just amazing what you can do when you do it together.
It's just a next man up mentality. Everyone's going to have their moments this year where we may not be playing, but you're going to be called upon at any point in any game. So when my number was called today, I just had to be ready, be a professional about it, and kind of do what I do. And was able to make an impact today, and I'm happy we got the win.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Chad Dewing starts now.
Well, I think most of us can only hope to be just a fraction of how smooth Smokey Robinson is. Nice work by the Motown for Michael Shacker. What's going on, Rip City Drive? Chad doing? Man, I was walking through the office today. It's still got the feel of like a morgue here in the building after what went down last week with all of the changes across the country with iHeart. So it's like really weird, bizarre, strange. But I'm happy to be with you today. Actually, I talked with Brian Noe today. He's extended his stay here in town in the Portland area up until the end of November. He's still trying to sell off the stuff that he had in storage. So he's going to join me in studio on Monday for the entire show. Monday, 3 hours, Brian Noe talking NFL, coming off an NFL Sunday. So I'm pretty excited about that. So just jot that little note down. Monday, Rip City Drive, Be Fox Sports Radio going to be in studio for 3 hours. Later today on the program, Cale Wambacher is going to join me. He's the general manager for the Hillsboro Hops. We're going to get an update on the brand new stadium, which will be open for play in 2026. And I think they've got a waiting list set up for season tickets now for the new ballpark. And they have a cam on their website where you can go. It's like a construction cam and check in on the updates with the stadium. From my understanding, the dugouts have been poured. Like, they're making serious progress. And as you drive in every day, I was talking with Seth Hoyland, who works for the Hops, you can see constant changes. So we're going to get the latest from Cale Wambacher at 5:20. And here in about 16 minutes, Alex Brink, former Coug, and now with E-Force Sports, E-Force Fitness, our college football and NFL insider, is going to join us. And we're going to talk some football. A lot of different things to touch on, including Washington State. I really think their head coach, Jake Dickert, not getting enough credit for the work he's done. The Cougs have one loss. Great chance with their remaining schedule. I think it's New Mexico, Oregon State, and Wyoming that they're going to finish up the season with one loss. They're still vying for a potential spot in the playoff, although at this point, with their one loss, they will need some help to get in. But the Cougs are having a big year. So I want to touch on that with him. I'll get an idea from him on who he thinks is his Heisman frontrunner today. Also, who's going to be the number one quarterback in the draft taken? I think it's a no-brainer. It's going to be Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. Like, Travis Hunter's the best player in college football, but because of quarterback need in the NFL, Shedeur Sanders will go number one. Or is it Cam Ward? It's definitely not Carson Beck. Now, I don't put it all on Carson Beck, who has not played well this year for Georgia. He's turning the football over at an alarming rate, and they've got a big game coming up this weekend against Tennessee. Their offensive line play has been porous, but Carson Beck has not looked good. And there's no way I'm selecting him over either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. But for me, I just think Shedeur has separated himself. And how about Colorado right now with 2 losses, in control of their destiny to land a spot in the Big 12 title game? And with that, they would have a chance to get into the playoff. I know there's a lot of people who aren't fans of Coach Prime and the way he's done things at Colorado, but you got to give him the props. He's coached his tail off. They can run the football. They got better balance on offense. The offensive line is not spectacular, but it's much improved from last year, and defensively, they've been better. But when you have the 2 best players in college football on your roster and you play in the Big 12, you're going to be in a position to make things happen. Travis Hunter's a stud. Love him. And he can play both ways. The question is, what will he be in the NFL? Receiver, corner, or both? And if you play both, how do you manage your time in terms of practice, team meetings, position group meetings? How would that look? So I don't know how they're going to use him in the NFL, but he's a special player, and he's a good kid. So I'm excited about what Colorado's doing. They're one of the better stories in college football. That's another question I'm going to ask Alex. And I've been asking people that I know this question, like, what is the best story in college football this year? There's plenty of options. Colorado would be one. BYU would be another. Indiana, Army, Boise State. There's so many teams that you could choose from in terms of the best stories. And this is all a product of this playoff expansion where we have more teams involved, multiple teams going into week 2 in November vying for a potential playoff spot that are still alive, and that gives hope to fan bases. I think I counted it up. What's the number I said yesterday? 20? There's roughly 20 teams that are still alive for a playoff berth. So a lot of different things we're going to touch on with my man Alex Brink. And then, of course, we got to touch on the Trailblazers. The message I got, and I think this summed up last night perfectly, it felt like Rip City. That game that we got last night between the Trailblazers and Timberwolves, it felt like Rip City for Blazer fans. And it's hard to argue. And I think most importantly, what last night was a glimpse into the future. A glimpse into the future because it was the young guys, not the veterans, who were leading the charge and delivering the victory for Portland. It was also great because it was a game in which they did not shoot the ball well like they had on Tuesday night, and they struggled offensively. They weren't sharp. They weren't crisp. But as the game went along, it was their defense and the plays that they made defensively that sparked the offense and enabled them to take command of the game in the fourth quarter. But what you got last night was greatness from multiple players, including Donovan Clingan and, of course, Shaedon Sharpe. And that was what made it so awesome. Shaedon Sharpe was electric last night in the fourth.
Gets it back. Now he drives, turns, 5 to shoot, works into the lane, stops, fades, short. Shaedon Sharpe with a putback, cocked it back and slammed it down. My goodness. Woo! 91-83. He read it perfectly.
It was a great play. Career high 33 points for Sharpe, and he was the meal ticket in the fourth. He carried the offense for long stretches in the fourth quarter, and the cool part was his teammates, including veterans like Jeremy Grant, were looking for Sharpe. He was looking to get involved, and I liked it because at times he had the ball in his hand and was, the main facilitator, looking to create offense, and then also without the ball in his hands, being able to work and move around the floor to get open and in position to score. He was great. Now, the one guy that stole the show last night was Donovan Clingan. 17 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 block shots in 31 minutes of action. It was awesome. As a rookie, he was out there dominating fools, and afterwards he said, hey, it was fun.
It was a lot of fun. I feel like these past 2 games, we really just turned around, and, there's nothing better than everyone on the floor having fun, and I feel like that really showed tonight, and it was a great night for the team.
And what I love is that he's one of those guys that he cares about winning. That's what motivates him. And he loves defense. How many Trailblazers over the last few years on the team can you look at and pinpoint and say, man, that guy really loves defense? I think Clingan's one. Tamani Kamara, I think, dreams about defense, but Donovan talked about it afterwards.
I mean, I love defense. I feel like that just brings energy to the team. It brings, that's how you win ball games. So, just having those big time blocks, getting the crowd into it, and I feel like, that was a big turning point and big motivation for the team. And I'm just here to try to help my team win.
Blocked by Clingan again. Picked up off the window. 3-on-2 for the Blazers. Avdi at a bend. Up and under. Banks it in. Timeout, Minnesota. Blazers have their largest lead. 83-78. 18-6 run with 9:58 to play in the fourth.
I was thinking about this last night when I was driving home from the game. You know when you look back over drafts in the past and you're like, how'd that guy wind up there? I think we could be looking at a player in Clingan who the Blazers, they got an absolute steal. And they could look back here in a few years and be like, man, that was a game changer. But the exciting part for me was seeing Shaedon Sharpe score a career-high 33, and Donovan Clingan, the rookie, who got a chance to start and play extended minutes, the most he's played, 31, so far this season in his rookie campaign. And Ayton was out, and Robert Williams took a night off for rest in the second of a back-to-back, so it gave Clingan an opportunity to step up and shine. Now, the big concern about him has been the conditioning, and would he be able to play more minutes? 31 of them, he talked about how he felt after the game.
Obviously, I got that knee to the hip, but nothing too painful, and but get some treatment and I'll be good.
Now, the big question going into the game on Tuesday, before the back-to-back games against Minnesota, how would the team respond after Coach Billups went with the nuclear option to call them soft, say it was effing embarrassing, say that they laid down? He threw the guys under the bus, and it takes a lot of guts to do that, because if you do that as a coach and you go nuclear and the guys don't respond, you're done. You are DEAD. Well, they responded. Back-to-back wins, and Clingan talked about the response the players had to the message from the coach that they were soft and that they lied down in that loss Sunday to Memphis.
We really care. We really want to, take it to the next step. We're really trying to find the right things to do, and we're really just buying in as a team. We're trying to be, a team not selfish. Really just go out there, play together, have fun. I mean, it's hard to beat a team when they're having fun, playing for one another. And, for these past two nights, we've shown that, we've had so much fun on the floor together and sharing the ball, seeing other people succeed. And, that's what it's all about.
All right, look at the youngsters that contributed last night. Tamani Kamara, 35 minutes, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. He was terrific. What about Delano Banton? 24 minutes, 13 points, 5 assists. He was plus 19 for the game. He was critical in that fourth quarter of being kind of the point guard and facilitating the offense. And with his size and unique skill set, he was terrific. Chris Murray made a solid contribution in 20 minutes. Denny Avdia last night was everywhere with his defense. He finished with 7 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and a steal. And then you got the star power from Clingan and Sharpe. Even Scoot Henderson struggled at times, but also in moments showed flashes of brilliance. 11 points, 5 assists, 2 steals in 27 minutes of action. Youth was served last night. It was great. All right, we'll come back, and we got to talk football with Alex Brink, our college football and NFL insider, former Cougar quarterback for the Cougs. He's up next on the Rip City Drive. All right, I'm not fully recovered, but I'm getting closer. But I've got to ask Alex about this.
Lutz waiting for the snap. Placement is down. Lutz's kick is blocked. It's blocked. It's blocked. The Chiefs blocked the kick. They're going to stay undefeated. The Kansas City Chiefs blocked a 35-yard field goal attempt. Kansas City wins this game on a blocked field goal. The Kansas City Chiefs are 9-0.
All right, joining us now is our college football and NFL insider from E4 Sports, former Coug. It's Alex Brink. Alex, I can't believe it, man. The Broncos did everything right, and they couldn't block. They couldn't block for their kicker, man. What's up with that? Brutal.
Well, I guess it's par for the course for the Broncos the past few years, my man. I hate to say that, but they haven't quite turned the corner, I guess. It's looking better for sure, but I think that's maybe more that the Chiefs feel like a little bit of a team of destiny this year, don't you think?
Yeah, they sure look like it, don't they? Did you ever involve yourself in the kicking game? Were you a holder or do anything like that for special teams?
Oh my goodness! I can't believe we haven't talked about this. I was the worst holder known to man in my redshirt freshman year at Washington State University. I was the backup quarterback. I kept forgetting to run on the field for field goal and kickoffs the first few games because I was signaling I would get excited for touchdowns. And then when I finally started halfway through the year, I was so I'd get hit on third down, and then we'd have to kick a field goal, and I'd probably fumbled 3 snaps, and they finally benched me about halfway through. And then I got to the NFL, and they asked me if I wanted to practice being a holder, and I told them no, and it was probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever made because you never tell a coach in the NFL you don't want to do something, but
Yeah.
I was not a great holder.
Well, walk us through that. Like, how hard is it? Because every time I watch it, it's amazing to me how smooth the operation looks on television. But I would be so nervous with that ball coming back to me. But how hard is it to get used to the rhythm and the timing of catching the ball, securing it, and then placing it down and getting it in the right spot for the kicker? How hard is it?
Well, you want to know something that's fascinating is at the highest level in the NFL, those snappers are so good that they can snap you the laces to the same spot in your hand 99 out of 100 times.
How's that even
Right?
possible?
Like if you ever see, it's unbelievable. They know exactly how to hold it in their hand, and they have the rhythm right and the whole thing. You'll see occasionally a bad snap in the NFL a little bit high or whatever, but if it's not high, if it's in the target area, that ball has the laces exactly where it's supposed to be. So that part of it's not hard, right? Because spinning the ball can be super nerve-wracking for a holder because kickers all want it a certain way. The harder part is all kickers want the ball tilted a certain way when it hits the ground. That's what you really got to practice. That's the hard part.
Gosh, I'm getting clammy hands just thinking about being you in that type of position. I think even though you never tell an NFL coach no, at least you were honest, right? Because if you would have said, oh, yeah, I can do that, and then they put you out there on the practice field and you showcase how bad you are, then they'd be mad at you for volunteering probably. You can't win in that scenario.
Yeah, it was probably a no-win situation and all. I think you're right.
All right, another big win for the Cougs, Alex. They finish up with games at New Mexico this weekend, at Oregon State and Wyoming. There's a great chance they're going to finish with one loss. Can you talk about the job that Jake Dickert has done along with his staff this season? Because I don't think they're getting enough, attention or credit for the work that they've done.
Well, I think there's no doubt about it. I mean, I've seen various Coach of the Year kind of polls out there, and Jake Dickert's not on them, and I think it's such a travesty. I mean, all that Washington State's gone through the last couple of years, the way they've had to piece it together, the challenges with NIL. I mean, their starting quarterback from the last 2 years is a Heisman Trophy candidate out in Miami right now, right? Like, that's all you need to know about, where Washington State was going into the season, and now they're still 7-1 with another quarterback that is in the conversation for the Davey O'Brien, the best quarterback in the country. So, I mean, I think the development of talent is second to none. I mean, I think they do a great job taking the athletes that they recruit, that they get out of the portal and develop them into quality players on the field. He's an incredible motivator. I mean, can you imagine trying to keep 20, 21-year-old kids motivated through this whole process where you're not a part of a conference, you got left out of the club, you don't make as much money as somebody else, this, that, and the other. And still he's got these young men to buy in and compete every day. It's been really impressive to watch, and he's first class all the way. And I think, they have a good thing going for sure, just with the staff and everything. And, the challenge will be obviously keeping it together if they keep doing great things. But, in the end, I think whatever comes his way and his staff's way, they deserve it. I'm just happy that he's a representative for Washington State University right now.
Well, that's a great point. And you know what? The kids deserve credit, too, because they may not recognize it now, Alex, but don't you think maybe 5-10 years from now they'll look back and realize what they were a part of, keeping this program together and the success they had this year, and they'll find great value in that.
Oh, they sure will. And I mean, look, you go at Washington State, right? Like the last team that did this was 2018 with Gardner Minshew, and those guys are legends, right? So at Washington State, if no matter who you're playing, no matter what you're doing, if you're a one-loss team late in the year and you're in conversations for college football playoff or a super high-level bowl, I mean, you're going to be in the record books at Washington State, and that's something that fans get behind, and you're going to be really proud of in the end.
We're talking with Alex Brink. I think Washington State would be on the list. I was really thinking about this week. What story do you think is the best in college football this year? Washington State could be there. BYU, they're undefeated with Coach Sataki. They've been great. Arizona State and the turnaround under Kenny Dillingham. Colorado being in a position to get to the Big 12 title game. Boise State or somebody else. Like, what story's been the most impressive to you this year?
Well, there's been a lot of good ones. And then talk about a year to have an expanding college football playoff, right,
Yes.
where you have all these great storylines and probably not a true kind of number one, right? Everybody's got, I would say anybody has a chance to win anytime on the field, whereas maybe some past years, Alabama was so much better than everybody else, right? But, to me, there's a couple. BYU for sure. I mean, what Coach Sataki's done is incredibly impressive. Plenty of changes on their roster, the challenges they face as in this environment also. What about Indiana, though? I mean, Kurt Zanetti, like all the things he's doing. I mean, you're talking about Indiana. Like, that's a basketball school, and they're 10-0, right? And they have some big ones on the schedule coming up. So I think that's been really impressive. The kind of I love seeing the mid-majors, not mid-major, but, a group of five conversations, right? Boise State, SMU goes out to the ACC and is dominating the ACC, right? I think all those conversations are really cool. But to me, I think Indiana's the one so far this year.
You've spent time around Coach Sataki. What's his secret sauce? What makes him so good?
He's so genuine. I mean, he's a guy that he's got high standards, right? And all athletes want to be around somebody that has high standards, but is fair in the way that they, manage those standards. And I think Coach Sataki is that way. He's just a great leader of men. And I think when coaches have, clear expectations, they have a clear process for how they get things done, usually athletes can buy into it, right? And BYU's got kind of a unique nature, right? Because they have this baked in sort of recruiting element where they know they can get, athletes of the LDS faith, and a lot of them typically are really good athletes. So they, they're able to get a large number of, I think, high quality players onto that team that if you can motivate them appropriately and put the right resources in front of them, they're always going to be good. And it's really these years where they tie it together, they have a couple special players, or they get the momentum that you see that it happens to be really special.
Yeah, I like him, and they've been a lot of fun to watch this year, kind of a cardiac pack in the way they've been able to pull out some of these games. Alex Brink is with us, our college football and NFL insider. As the season has progressed, how do you view Shedeur Sanders now compared to the start of the season?
I think he's progressed a lot in the last 12 months. I watch him play now. It feels very under control. It feels like he's gotten matured physically, right? So he can do some more things in the pass game. We know about his kind of off-field, the off-field, the way he prepares, right? He's got Tom Brady as a mentor. He's kind of learning from the best of the best because of who his dad is and some of the people around him. So you can see that play out. Again, I think for him, as this season progresses, because they're playing really well, but they have a couple tough games ahead of them. How does the season finish up, and what does that kind of look like?
Yeah.
In my opinion, from last year to this year, I think he's shown tremendous strides as a player.
We're talking with Alex Brink here. With those guys, who do you think is going to be the number one quarterback taken in the draft? Is it going to come down to him or Cam Ward?
I mean, those two, it's so fun, when you talk about things like that, like the draft class, right? In season, it doesn't always feel like it's way different than kind of the way it ends up playing out,
right?
Of course. In the draft, the draft process. So, as far as who are the most kind of productive quarterbacks to this point at the highest level, I would say like those two have been great. I would argue that I think Jackson Darts played really well for Ole Miss. I think a guy like Curtis Rourke at Indiana couldn't find his way into the mix, right? Big, strong passer. Same with Drew Aller at Penn State. I mean, those guys are all really talented players. But I don't love the draft class either. I think there is. I think they all have their warts. I think they all have some things that they can work on. A guy like Cam Ward's intriguing because he's so raw, right? I mean, he played option football in high school. Then he is playing in the FCS level for a year, and then he ends up at Washington State. And then before going to Miami, I think his best football is even still ahead of him, even as well as he's playing right now.
Well, he looks awesome. It's amazing how some of these guys slip through the cracks. He was in the middle of nowhere in Texas, then wound up in the Palouse, and now he's got a chance to compete for a championship in Miami. It's really a great story. But, the Heisman race is fascinating this year. Who would get your vote today? Would it be Genty? Would it be Travis Hunter? Is it somebody else? What do you think about that race?
Hey, it's Ashton Genty for me. I think he's been so dominant on the field for one of the best teams, in the country. He's the reason, he's the reason they were in the mix against Oregon. He's put up big time performances, consistently. He's a running back, right? Like everybody knows he's getting the football, and he's still able to be incredibly productive. I think Travis Hunter is a really unique conversation because he's such a fantastic, he's such a fantastic athlete on both sides of the ball. I mean, it's unheard of, right? So if you were to tell me, hey, if I woke up tomorrow and you told me Travis Hunter won the Heisman, I wouldn't be disappointed because that might be arguably the best football player in the country. But again, I just think what Ashton Genty's doing at the running back position is so special.
Alex, I've never been to Manhattan, Kansas, but I know that the Wildcats are a very good football team. Great game this weekend with Arizona State and Kansas State as both teams are vying for a spot in the Big 12 title game. It looks like the Sun Devils will have Cam Skattebo back. How tough is that game going to be for ASU?
It's going to be tough, right? It's a tough place to play. It's a really good football program at Kansas State. I know Avery Johnson, the quarterback, really well through my time at Elite 11. He's a special player, can do a lot of things in a real dual threat way. Their hard-nosed defense. It's going to be a really good matchup. It's one of those matchups where in conference realignment, right, with this being the Big 12, it's the best version of it, right? Arizona State in Manhattan against Kansas State, two good football teams, right? Good young quarterbacks, great running game for Arizona State against a stout defense for Kansas State. Kansas State struggled on the road at BYU, and now they get another good opponent, but this time at home. I'm really interested to see how they play.
I want to ask you about one of your specialties, which is quarterback development. And you've been through this process before because you were drafted and went to the NFL with the Houston Texans. But we're seeing struggles right now with guys like Anthony Richardson and Caleb Williams. What is the best process for these young QBs? Is it to play right away? Would it be best if they could sit and get a chance to watch with a veteran playing in front of them? What is the best way to handle quarterbacks, or is it different case by case?
I definitely think there's versions of it where it's different case by case, but in a very broad generalization, my belief at the NFL level is that all quarterbacks, but certainly young quarterbacks, are only successful if they have a high quality running game and a good defense. And typically that happens to rookie quarterbacks that go to teams later in the draft, right? Like a Russell Wilson in the third round or something like that, because that's typically where, he ends up in Seattle, and great running game, great defense. He finds success right away, right? So that, I think, is one conversation. The quarterbacks that get drafted in the top 10, probably top 5, I think they should sit and see how it plays out and learn from the guys ahead of them, because typically they're going to organizations that aren't that good, right? They don't have the defense. They don't have the running game. They're building their roster. And the NFL's too hard to just throw those guys in there, right? And so I prefer, right? Like Jordan Love's successful because he sat for a while. Aaron Rodgers was the same way in Green Bay. It's just funny they both happened in Green Bay, but I think there's other examples of that. I also think there's a conversation where instead of writing a young player off a la, a Caleb Williams or Bryce Young or somebody like that, if they do start early and they don't find success, maybe it's not that they are not good. Maybe it's that they're in a bad situation and you need to be Sam Darnold and go through two organizations and get a chance somewhere else, or Geno Smith, right? So though that argument, right, is more about just not writing guys off because they struggle as rookies and just saying, like, they probably are going to struggle as rookies. But what if we gave them a 10-year career? How good would they be if you gave them the time?
All right, so with Anthony Richardson, they benched him a couple of weeks ago in favor of Joe Flacco, but now they're going back to him. Does that process make sense in terms of resting him, sitting him for a couple of weeks, and then putting him back in? Can that be helpful, or is that going to hinder him as he takes the field again this weekend against the Jets?
Well, I don't know about specific to on-field performance, but I know from a mental standpoint, it's a disaster. Like you've kind of undercut him along the way to make him feel like he's not the guy of the future. Then you want to bring him back in a situation where, Joe Flacco wasn't successful, so we're going to go back to you because it really doesn't matter. We're just going to let you go. And so whether you do well or do poorly, we're evaluating for what the future looks like. And so he's a great example of, a young man that, I think is physically really gifted. He was raw to begin with, right? He needed time. Like, he was raw in college, and he needed time to develop. And so he's going to be the beneficiary of probably going to a new organization at some point down the line in the next couple of years where he can get a fresh start, right? Because, there's an emotional element and kind of a mental element playing quarterback where, you're at a place or you're on a team that you haven't had success. It's hard to get over that mental barrier sometime, and you need to go another place with another coaching staff to start fresh.
All right, just a little technical question. Did you ever wear the wristband in college with the plays on it? And if so, when you look at that, like, what is on there, and how does that work when you're getting the call from the sideline and you're looking at your wristband? Like, what is that information?
No, that's a great question. So I wore the wristband twice in two different instances. I wore it in the CFL, and for whatever reason, the reason they did that is they just sent us in a number, and then my wristband had a number associated with a play, and then I would read the play to the team, right, to the offense. In high school, I did the same thing, wore a wristband, and they would signal in a number. In college, we signaled all our plays in, and we just memorized. They signaled the whole play with various different signs for it, and I would know what the whole play was based on that signal. Now, that's all gotten wiped out because you've got the in-ear mics now in college, so you could have a wristband, but they just send a number in, and then you actually have the whole play or some abbreviation of the play that you read to your team. That's typically how it's set up. When I was in the NFL with Kyle Shanahan, we had to memorize our entire playbook, and he would just call in we didn't wear wristbands or anything. He would just call in a brief part of the play, and we would be expected to know the rest of the play typically.
Yeah, and of course, I'm sure those were simple plays coming from Kyle Shanahan, the genius, too.
Yeah. No, they were about 2 sentences long most of the time.
You've probably seen this, but I want to play it for you and just get your thoughts on it. But, we're talking about Richardson, and I'm really impressed by Kevin O'Connell. Do you know him, the head coach of the Vikings? Have you crossed paths with Kevin O'Connell?
I have actually. Kevin and I are the same age, we're the same class. We played each other our senior year in college. San Diego State played in Seattle against us, Washington State. I got the best of them. But then we played in an all-star game together, the Hula Bowl, after that year. Got to know each other a lot and maintained contact kind of after that, kind of in our young days, coaching and playing when he was in the NFL. And
is he as good of a guy as he appears to be? Great guy?
He's the best. He's the best.
All right, well, take a listen to this.
Exactly who you think he is.
Yeah, that's awesome. He was mic'd up when the Vikings played the Colts, and he approached Anthony Richardson after the game. This is how it went down.
Do me a favor, remember something.
Okay.
You're a bad dude.
Yes, sir.
And you're going to play a long time in this league.
For sure.
All right? Go to work every day. Good things will happen for you. I still believe in you. I know these guys too. Shane does too.
Yes, sir.
And this organization loves you. Go to work.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, always.
All right. What do you think that meant to Richardson in a moment where he had just been benched, and you've got an offensive guy like O'Connell coming over to say that? That was pretty awesome, wasn't it?
I think it's incredible, and it tells you what type of leader, obviously, O'Connell is, both, on his team and just in general, right? And, his career is the same idea, right? I mean, he was a mid to late round draft pick, but had a lot of talent and had his opportunities in the NFL. And, he's lived it now for a long time, so he's seen that part of it where he knows that sometimes those conversations in the rooms with coaches and GMs, right, like, it's not always just about the player. It's sometimes about the situation, or there's other factors in it. And his point in saying that is kind of exactly what I was saying, which is, look, he's got the talent. He's got to be able to stay. He can't get discouraged. He can't get disappointed, because that's so easy. And once you lose that edge as a quarterback, it's over at that point. It's so hard to get back. And so I think that's really cool that he said that to him, because he didn't have to do that, right? That's not, it sounds like, oh, that's a nice thing to say, but like, he could have just gone about his day and moved on after a game.
Oh, by the way, I got to give you props, because when we talked to you about Caleb Williams, all leading up to the draft after last year, you were impressed, but you said there were still some troubling habits that would need to be broken, and we're seeing that play out right now. You were spot on. You know quarterbacks, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, Richardson was the same way, right? Like, I didn't feel – I felt like Richardson was a top 10 NFL talent. I didn't think he was a top 10 NFL quarterback in the moment, right? And so, like, everybody – and a little bit with Caleb Williams the same way, right? Like, has the talent, has the ability, but, like, you got to let it play out, because it's a different game, and, they need the right people around them. And, again, when you have challenges with offensive coordinator, head coach, and, those things make it worse, right? Again, this is my point about, like, say, the Jordan Love scenario, where it's just really consistent. He knows what it is. He knows what the expectation is. He can learn. He can grow. It's the same staff, same system. And then when he gets his shot, guess what? He's fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the NFL needs to strive for with these young quarterbacks, is consistency and development and process.
All right, we're talking with Alex Brink. He is with eForce Sports, eForce Fitness. Here's how I want to handle the question today, Alex, because normally I ask you about a certain aspect of eForce, and you talk about it. But this is what I want to know from you, because you are heavily involved. You're one of the guys who run it along with your partner. And what is the biggest question you get about eForce on a regular basis, and how do you answer that question when it's asked?
Well, I think, what I notice with, parents of typically young athletes, right, are coming to eForce. We work with college and pro, and we work with, various different levels, but a lot of it are young athletes, right? And it's kind of what should I expect out of the experience at eForce? And it doesn't matter the program. It could be strength training, it could be baseball, it could be football, it could be basketball. And we always say that it always comes with development first, right? Everybody wants success on the field. Everybody wants, the North Star is people wanting scholarship, or they want to do something great, or whatever that is, on the field, on the court. And what we always say is that development's a process. And when you get in with eForce, it's always going to start with that, right? We're going to evaluate an athlete and say, hey, you might need the most basic level of, speed and agility and strength training, and that'll help you reach your goals down the line. You don't need what you saw on Instagram or TikTok. You need something that is much more boiled down and basic, and that's going to help you reach those goals and keep you safer and keep you healthier. And, say you're a football athlete, you need to spend some time developing your skills with high-quality coaches and do some of the lonely work before you get to go out and experience the bright lights of Friday nights and things like that. So I would tell people that, when you come to, eForce, it's always going to be development first. The interest of the athlete is always first. And sometimes the interest of the parent doesn't quite align with what the best interest of the athlete is. And we're always wanting to provide that roadmap and that path for young athletes and their parents as they go on this journey, and just, they want to get better. And that's, in the end, that's our goal, is to help young athletes in this area, in Portland Metro and Vancouver and the entire state of Oregon, improve and get the most out of their sports journey.
And the best way to contact is team@eforcesports.com.
Yeah, shoot us an email, team@eforcesports.com. Visit eforcesports.com. You can see, all our facility locations, all the programs we offer for force performance training, football, basketball, baseball, softball, all of the above.
Well, today certainly did not suck. That was awesome, Alex. Hey, have fun down in New Mexico with the game, and we'll talk next week.
Well, yeah, excited to check out Albuquerque. Chat next week. Thanks, man.
All right, you got it. There's Alex Brink. Oh, I feel so much better. That guy is super smart and knows football so well. And, of course, he knows Kevin O'Connell. He knows everybody. By chance, Alex, have you crossed paths with Kevin O'Connell? Oh, yeah, I competed against him, and we've stayed connected over the years. We're good friends. Not a surprise. I just want a reason to wear one of them wristbands with, like, the plays on it and stuff. Like, I feel like I need to get, like, I want a wristband that the quarterbacks wear with the plays on it. That's what I want. And I would just wear it around all the time in town. And John Elway, for a couple of years in 91, 92, called his own plays and wore the wristband. I thought it was dope. All right, we'll keep things rolling here. Cale Wambacher, general manager for the Hops, going to give us an update on the brand spanking new stadium that's under construction. He's coming up at 5:20. I just asked Shacker, I said, is this Jackson 5? He said, no, it's New Edition pretending to be Jackson 5. This is back in their younger days. Is that Bobby Brown singing? That's a good question.
Yeah, I can't remember. They were really young in the music video for this one.
All right, big thanks to Alex Brink. Cale Wambacher, general manager for the Hops, going to join us coming up at 5:20. Looking forward to the NFL games this weekend. Last weekend, I think pound for pound was the best weekend of NFL football we've had so far this year. And we'll see how the games play out. But for what's on tap, this could equal what we got last weekend. And, of course, I say that in the face of one of the most painful regular season Bronco losses in quite some time. All because they couldn't block a simple 35-yard field goal. Oh, just every time I think about it, I'm like, oh, crap. It's so close. You did everything right. You can't block a field goal, you morons. Anywho, I got to move on and move past it. The Broncos getting ready to take on the Falcons. But it all starts tonight with this Thursday night game. The Commanders, 7-3, are playing at the Eagles, who are 7-2. And the winner of this game will own the top spot in the NFC East. And right now, the Eagles are on absolute fire. Absolute fire. After a very slow start, and people thinking that their head coach was crazy, and he very well could be with Nick Sirianni. So they start out 2-2, and they've won 5 straight football games. Wins against the Browns, at the Giants, at the Bengals, pounded them by 20, beat the Jags, crushed the Cowboys, and now they take on the Commanders. So this game's fascinating on a couple of different levels to me. Number one, Philadelphia probably has the best roster in all of football. Pound for pound, position group to position group, they probably have the best overall roster in the league. And right now they're getting tremendous play from their defense, tremendous play from their offensive line. Jalen Hurts is producing at a high level, and they've got one of the best running backs in Saquon Barkley. And the receiving core, it's probably the best in the league. So they're hitting on all the right notes right now. And they're taking on the Commanders, who are one of the surprise teams in the NFL. Brand new ownership, brand new coaching staff, and a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels, who is playing lights out. I can't wait to see how Daniels handles that type of pressure. I can't wait to see how the Eagles perform against a team that's a little more formidable than any of the teams on their previous 5 games on their schedule. So this is going to be a big-time football game, and we might, and I don't want to jinx it, but we could get back-to-back great Thursday night football games. Last week we got that thriller with Cincinnati and Baltimore, with the Bengals going for 2 to try and get the win, and they end up losing by a point. And tonight we get the Commanders and Eagles. Very good football game. It's rare that we get quality Thursday night football games. We got a chance to get back-to-back weeks of good ones. On Sunday, there are some duds that are on the schedule in the morning with the morning slate of games, but there are some good ones as well. Ravens at the Steelers, 10 o'clock on CBS is must-watch football. The Ravens are terrific with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, but their pass defense is the worst in the league. And the Steelers right now, ever since they inserted Russell Wilson, have had an uptick in offense. They're hitting at about 30-plus points per game. Better running now with Najee Harris. Their defense is one of the best in the league. And if they win this game, they're going to be in a position to win the division. But the Steelers' schedule down the stretch is tough. They will play 6 division games. They have not played a divisional game yet. And the 2 games not in division are the Eagles and Chiefs. How are they going to handle that brutal stretch in the final 8 games? Chiefs, Bills, 125 on CBS. The Bills are going to try and prove that they can solve the Patrick Mahomes riddle. And then with the Chiefs, can they make it 10-0? And if the Chiefs win this game, they have essentially locked up the conference. And that's no joke. And then Sunday Night Football is awesome. Bengals and Chargers. Chargers are going to make the playoffs. The Bengals are battling the Broncos for the 7th and final spot in the AFC. They can't afford that loss, so we'll see how it shakes out. All right, we'll keep things rolling. I'm going to really dig into the Blazers and what we saw last night with that impressive win over Minnesota. And then we'll talk with Cale Wambacher at 5:20. Chad doing Rip City Drive. It's 4 o'clock. Trailblazers hammered the Timberwolves last night, 106-98. Back-to-back wins for Portland over Minnesota. Donovan Clingan was awesome. 17 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 blocks. Here he is.
It was a lot of fun. I feel like these past 2 games, we really just turned around, and there's nothing better than everyone on the floor having fun, and I feel like that really showed tonight, and it was a great night for the team.
Shaedon Sharpe was the Trailblazers meal ticket in the fourth. He had a career-high 33 points. They'll get 3 days off. Atlanta in town on Sunday. Matinee action, 3 o'clock tip. Our coverage starts at 1 with Blazers Game Day. Live from Moto with Chris Burkhardt. It's all presented by Coors Light. Thursday Night Football on Prime. Nice game. Commanders at Eagles. Kickoff 5:15. Philly favored by 4. Oregon State will play Air Force Saturday. Kickoff at 12:30. Pregame at 10:30 on your home of the Beavs, 1190 KEX. OSU favored by 3.5. Number 1, Oregon is at Wisconsin. Kickoff 4:30 on NBC. The Ducks are favored by 14.
Back to Grant, 10 seconds to shoot. Has it straight away, lost his dribble, gets it back. Now he drives, turns, 5 to shoot, works into the lane, stops, fades, short. Shaedon Sharpe with a putback, cocked it back and slammed it down. My goodness. Woo! 91-83, he read it perfectly.
Who gave that? Woo! Was that Travis? Was that Michael? That was a lot of fun last night. A lot of Blazer fans reaching out last night, excited about the youth that they saw out there with Donovan Clingan dominating action and Shaedon Sharpe, who was the superstar in the fourth with 33 points, a career high. That was a lot of fun. I'll dig deep into the Trailblazers coming up here in 18 minutes, and we'll hear from Coach Billups. We'll hear from Donovan Clingan and, really focus in on some of the greatness that came from that game last night. A lot of greatness. And I just got a question from Rip City Mike that I'll address coming up at 4:20 as well. And then Cale Wambacher from the Hillsboro Hops, general manager, going to join us at 5:20. We'll get the latest on season tickets and the progress of the brand new stadium, which is going to be awesome. So Cale coming up at 5:20. If you want to reach out, you're always welcome to join the show, 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. That's your telephone number. You can find me on social at Chad and Rip City. So jump on board, and you're welcome to participate. Going to get to a lot of different things throughout the course of the day. I'm excited about the football weekend. I had mentioned the schedule right before break, the morning games in the NFL. The big one, of course, is the Steelers and Ravens. Pittsburgh needs this game, I think, more than Baltimore does, because their final 8 games, 6 in division. They haven't played a division game yet, and the other 2 are Kansas City and Philadelphia, 2 of the best teams in football. And I can't wait to see how Russ deals with this game against Baltimore. He's been terrific since Mike Tomlin made the change. Props to Mike Tomlin for knowing his team better than we do and making the call to go with Russ. And he's been great because he's gotten the deep ball back into the offense, and it's opened up things for Najee Harris in the run game. And the Steelers' defense is legit, and T.J. Watt is playing like an MVP. He's great. Love watching him. He's like his motor. It never stops. It never stops. So the other big games, Chiefs and Bills. Can the Bills solve the riddle, which is the Kansas City Chiefs, and get over the hump? And then the Bengals and Chargers, who are battling for playoff position in the AFC on Sunday Night Football. The Monday Nighters are clunker. Texans at the Cowboys. The Cowboys season's over. Jerry Jones is concerned about people wondering about the blinds and the sunlight coming in. They're done. So we don't have to worry about the Cowboys anymore. And hopefully people will stop talking about them and stop trying to convince us they're America's team. All right? I love Jerry, but they've got to solve some issues right now. Just got this message. There's no question that Shedeur Sanders will be the number 1 quarterback taken in the draft. Sean and Sandy reached out and said that Cordell Stewart is better than Shedeur will ever be. That's one of the most ridiculous takes I've ever heard in my life. I love Slash. Cordell Stewart had a couple of good years as quarterback for the Steelers, but Shedeur Sanders, in terms of technique, his ability to move around in the pocket, his accuracy, and his arm strength, he's got all the attributes. He's the total package. Now, as Alex Brink said, he's still got work to do, but Shedeur Sanders is great. And look, I understand you want to criticize Coach Prime. You don't like the way he came in and took over the program. You don't like their brashness, their style, and the way they operate. You got to applaud and give him credit for the work he's done. Don't forget that 2 years ago, right before Prime took over, Colorado was the worst school in Division I. They had won one game the previous year, and their losses were by an average of 29 points, just a complete piece of crap. And the program was left barren. Well, he came in and went heavy on the transfer portal, and they showed some improvements last year. And now this year, better at the line of scrimmage, better balance on offense, better job defensively, and now they're on a hot streak, and they control their own destiny for the Big 12 title game. If he gets Colorado into the playoff, that would be an impressive feat for Coach Prime. And I just respect Prime. I like him, but he's doing a heck of a job this year in Colorado, one of the best stories in all of college football. You can still dislike somebody or not agree with their style and still give them props for the work that they've done. Like, I'm very impressed with Dan Lanning and the way that he's continuing to improve as a head coach, both with development of players, but also with in-game decision-making. And look at the way that his staff has coached up this team as the season's progressed. They've gotten better week by week by week in all phases. And Dylan Gabriel continues to take it to the next level with better understanding of the offense and the players around him. And they got a better feel for him. All right. Alex Brink mentioned this. I asked him about Anthony Richardson. And, you know, they benched him a couple of weeks ago, and it sounded like he wasn't going to play again this year when they went with Joe Flacco. And now 2 weeks later, they're going back to Anthony Richardson. So I'm not sure they know what they're doing. But here's Shane Steichen talking about the decision.
I want to address, Anthony's situation. I've said the process for a long time. And what I mean by that is the attention to detail in everything he does, from the classrooms to the walkthroughs to practice, all those little things, right? You just got to be at a higher standard. And that was discussed with him 2 weeks ago. And those were the conversations that took place. And over the last 2 weeks, he's made strides in those areas, big time strides, becoming a pro's pro. And is he a finished product? No, he's not. And it's my job to help him get there along with the rest of the coaching staff. But he's a hell of a talent. Like I've said, we've never lost faith or belief in him and his abilities. And he's shown strides. He really has. And with that being said, he will be our starter again. He's going to start this week. He's going to start the rest of the season. All right. And we're going to go from there.
All right. So there's Colts head coach Shane Steichen. Here's Anthony Richardson.
Just so that I'm willing to be a pro, I'm willing to sacrifice anything that I need to do for the team. I feel like these past 2 weeks has definitely opened my eyes and allowed me to have the opportunity to do that and just take a deeper dive and look into myself and see what I'm really, made of. So I'm thankful for these past 2 weeks, and I'm low-key glad that it happened.
Now, Brink told us that the big issue here is, of course, the mental side of things, where 2 weeks ago they benched him, and head coach Shane Steichen was non-committal to whether or not he'd be back in the lineup this season. And now 2 weeks later, he's thrown back in as starter. And now apparently he's going to start the rest of the year. So what did that do for Anthony Richardson, and how much of an impact is that going to have on him psychologically as he continues to move forward? I like Anthony Richardson, and I love his physical attributes, so I want to see him succeed because I'm all about quarterbacks developing and adding to the NFL. But his physical traits, he's such a big dude. And we don't see quarterbacks of that size and with those type of physical attributes too much. So I really want to see him develop and become a big-time quarterback. But the Colts right now are a bit of a mess. And like I said, the Colts, the Bengals, and the Broncos are the three teams that are battling for that seventh and final playoff spot in the AFC right now. So the Colts are going back to Anthony Richardson. How will he perform? What type of impact did that decision 2 weeks ago have on his psyche? And is he going to be ready to do the things that are necessary to be better? But I like Richardson. He made the mistake coming out the field for a play. That was crazy, but, young guy, and I want to see these young guys succeed. Elsewhere, I think we played this. Kirby Smart, after the loss to Ole Miss, was upset because one of his players was celebrating with some of the Ole Miss fans after the game. And keep in mind, the Bulldogs had just gotten pounded by the Rebels. Ole Miss won big time. And Kirby Smart was asked about one of his players celebrating with some of the Ole Miss fans. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, what an idiot. Just stupid. He's embarrassed about it. He's upset about it. That's obviously a childhood friend of his. Just not real smart.
I don't disagree with that. if you get pounded and you play in the SEC and you play for Georgia, you don't want to get caught celebrating with fans from the opposing team that just beat your ass. The part that's weird is Kirby Smart apologizing for saying those things right there. Take a listen to Kirby Smart.
I don't like to comment on the internal stuff going on inside. He did talk to the team, did a great job. I'll say I should not have called the kid an idiot. That was a mistake by me, but I appreciate Jake. He is a great kid. He works really hard. He's a team player. I think he knows it was an emotional mistake, and he told the team that. So I appreciate the way he handled it.
Now, Coach, you called him stupid, too. So are you only apologizing for referring to him as an idiot, but you're not apologizing for calling him stupid, or did you just mean both of them when you said that? He's one of those guys we were talking about. No need for Kirby Smart to apologize because he doesn't mean it. I think he meant everything he said after the game. And Kirby Smart is a no-nonsense, fiery coach. Of course he doesn't want his players celebrating with fans on the opposing side after a loss. Fake apologies from guys like Kirby Smart are funny.
Yeah, what an idiot. Just stupid. He's embarrassed about it. He's upset about it. That's obviously a childhood friend of his. Just not real smart.
Yeah, I don't believe him.
I don't like to comment on the internal stuff going on inside. He did talk to the team, did a great job. I'll say I should not have called the kid an idiot. That was a mistake by me, but I appreciate Jake. He is a great kid. He works really hard. He's a team player. I think he knows it was an emotional mistake, and he told the team that. So I appreciate the way he handled it.
I think my dad loves me, but yet he did refer to me as stupid and an idiot multiple times when I was younger. Multiple times. It is what it is. Young guys are going to make mistakes sometimes, and we deserve to be criticized for it. Georgia is still in control. If they win out, I think they play Tennessee this weekend. Big game for Georgia. I would expect them to bounce back. And if Georgia finishes the season with 2 losses, they're in the playoff. No question about it. Georgia's in. They just got to win out. They're fine. And I still believe that Georgia is the most dangerous team in college football because of their defensive line. Their offense is very shaky at best right now. I think they're like 50th in the country in offense or total offense. But their quarterback's not playing well, Carson Beck. They're turning it over. They're just inconsistencies on the offensive line that are causing issues. And you're getting poor decision-making from the quarterback. But their defense is so good that when they lock in, they can just shut you down. And I think they're dangerous. I would expect them to win out, and I think Georgia will be a part of the playoff. But if they were to drop this game to Tennessee, they done. You're done. But I don't expect them to lose. Georgia will bounce back. Kirby Smart's the best coach in college football, and that's a tough football team that wins at the line of scrimmage. And Oregon right now, they are looking good. Great spot. At Wisconsin, it looks now like they're probably going to win out and finish the season unbeaten and setting up a potential rematch with Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. Or if Indiana can pull off the upset at the Shoe, they'll meet the Hoosiers in the Big Ten title game. All right, when we come back, we're going to dive in on the Trailblazers coming off the big win last night. We'll hear from Donovan Clingan. We'll focus in on Shaedon Sharpe. Youth was served last night, and as it was told to me by a fan, it felt like Rip City, and I agree. All right, a lot of things to get to with the game last night. I'm going to try and stay focused because I've got so many thoughts going through my mind, but we might as well start with the man of the hour, Donovan Clingan.
Blocked by Clingan again. Picked up off the window. 3-on-2 for the Blazers. Avdi at a bend. Up and under. Banks it in. Timeout, Minnesota. Blazers have their largest lead, 83-78. 18-6 run with 9:58 to play in the fourth.
All right, the one thing I've thought about Donovan Clingan ever since the preseason began and then early parts of the regular season, he doesn't move like most of the rookie centers I've seen in the past. Keep in mind, he's a very large human being, much bigger than you think. In fact, when you see him in person, if you haven't been to Moda Center yet, you're going to be stunned at how big he truly is. He's a massive human being, but he moves really well for a big guy. He was coached extremely well in college at UConn with Coach Hurley. He's done nothing but win basketball games in high school and college, so he's accustomed to winning. He comes from a great program. He's got good pedigree. His demeanor, his attitude, his approach to the game are terrific. There's nothing not to love about Donovan Clingan. Now, he was fortunate to get an expanded role over the last couple of nights because DeAndre Ayton's been out with an index finger issue, like a sprain or whatever you call that. So he's been out. And then Robert Williams, who played sensational on Tuesday, they rested him last night because of the second of a back-to-back. And they figure, with Williams and his injury history and coming off the injury and looking great, no need to force the issue. So they went into the game last night with Clingan as a starter and then Duop Reef being the main backup at the 5. Clingan started the last 2 games. I expected him to play well, but I didn't really know what type of an impact he would have. Well, one of the big concerns, and I think a lot of Blazer fans have asked this so far this year, is, well, why isn't Clingan, one of your prize picks, playing more minutes? And the answer I've always gotten in regards to why Clingan hasn't been on the floor more is because of conditioning. For especially guys at that position who are that big, Donovan Clingan at the 5 in the NBA, there's a process to kind of work yourself up because you're playing so many more games than what you were accustomed to in college. Well, he played 31 minutes last night and was terrific. And here's what he had to say after the game about playing more minutes. How do you feel?
Obviously, I got that knee to the hip, but nothing too painful. And, but get some treatment and I'll be good.
Well, truth be told, it wasn't the hip. He took a knee right on his lower head. It was a direct shot to his package. And he went down and crumbled in absolute pain. And he had to come out of the game for a moment to recuperate and sit on the bench. And then he came back in and closed it out. But the shot was painful. Direct hit. And he went straight down like a ton of bricks. But he looked good. A lot of different things I want you to hear from Clingan. I guess first off, just how much fun he had. You could tell he was having a blast out there. And I think he had his family in town, his mom, his grandma. So Nana's checking it out. And it all came on commemorative glass night where Donovan Clingan, the glasses were handed out after the game. And he ends up with 17 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 blocks. That is a dominating performance.
It was a lot of fun. I feel like these past 2 games, we really just turned around and, there's nothing better than everyone on the floor having fun. And I feel like that really, really showed tonight. And it was a great night for the team.
Now, I mentioned the mentality, right? Like, not only does he come from a winning background, but this guy actually loves defense. And it's important to have guys on your team that love to defend. He and Kamara are right at the top of that list. And you know that kind of fits the mentality of their head coach, Chauncey Billups, who's a tough, defensive-minded guy. Well, here's Clingan talking about how he loves D.
I love defense. I feel like that just brings energy to the team. It brings, that's how you win ball games. So, just having those big-time blocks, getting the crowd into it. And, I feel like, that was a big turning point and, big motivation for the team. And, I'm just here to try to help my team win.
He was relentless. The other impressive part, he got into early foul trouble in the first quarter, but he was able to manage that the rest of the way. And there he was going up against big guys like Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert, and his weak side defense was terrific. He was a man possessed. And it was great. He energized the entire team. They weren't playing good offense last night, but his defense and shot blocking as the game went along in the second half energized them. And the way he played, he was able to put the offense in a position to get easier buckets. And then with each block, the crowd was more pumped, and his teammates were being energized. And this guy's a rookie out there just dominating fools. The other thing that he was asked about was the response. Coach Billups called them out after the game on Sunday, and rightfully so when they got pounded by 45 points. 7th worst loss in franchise history. But the team responded with communication. They were able to air some of the grievances, and they got back to playing team basketball. And Clingan was asked about the comments from Coach and the response.
We really care. We really want to, take it to the next step. We're really trying to find the right things to do. And we're really just buying in as a team. We're trying to be, a team not selfish. Really just go out there, play together, have fun. I mean, it's hard to beat a team when they're having fun, playing for one another. And, for these past 2 nights, we've shown that, we've had so much fun on the floor together and sharing the ball, seeing other people succeed. And, that's what it's all about.
The one thing he had a front row seat for, because it was right underneath the bucket when it went down, was Shaedon Sharpe's putback jam.
Back to Grant, 10 seconds to shoot. Has it straight away, lost his dribble, gets it back. Now he drives, turns, 5 to shoot, works into the lane, stops, fades, short. Shaedon Sharpe with a putback, cocked it back and slammed it down. My goodness. Woo! 91-83, he read it perfectly.
All right, here's Clingan on his reaction to that play by Sharpe.
I haven't really seen Shaedon in person get up yet. Obviously he was out for a little bit with the shoulder, and so I haven't seen some of the stuff, and I was right under the rim looking, and here comes Shaedon out of nowhere. I was like, oh my God, yeah, that was crazy.
That's good response. Coach Bellis was asked about the big man and the way he dominated action last night.
And it's not even just the shots that he blocked. The 7 or 8 other shots that he changed, them seeing him in the paint and choosing to go the other direction, those things don't even come up on a stat sheet. So you got to give Donovan a lot of credit. We sat in here before the game talking about his minutes, and he played 31 minutes, and he was gassed, and I thought, obviously he took a bad hit at the end that I had to get him out for, but it might have been 33 minutes.
Yeah, 31 minutes, 17 points, 13 boards, 8 blocks. Dominating performance. Brooke caught up with him after the game.
Brooke Olsenham standing by with Donovan Clingan.
Donovan, just a monster performance by you tonight. 17 points, 12 boards, 8 blocks. How did it feel to be so impactful in this win?
My team needed me to protect the rim. We knew that they were going to be attacking late game to, try to gain momentum. After those first 2 early fouls by me, I just had to be smart, be vertical, and protect the rim.
Those 8 blocks, the most by a rookie by far this season. How were you able to dominate the paint defensively like you did?
Just my teammates pressuring the ball, forcing them into me, and my coaches just put me in the right position to be successful. I just going out there trying to help my team win, and just all credit to my teammates.
And these Trailblazers fans love heart and love hustle. You got not 1 but 2 standing ovations tonight. Were you feeling the love?
Yeah, I definitely did feel the love. We got great support out here in Portland, and I couldn't thank these fans enough. We just got to keep going.
And you got to do this in front of your grandma. How does that feel?
It feels great. Her first game out here, so for her to be here to see that is special.
There you go. And that's Donovan Clingan. He was asked about Glass Night with the debut of the Donovan Clingan glasses that they handed out to the first 7,777 fans. Big props to Blazer fan Ray for hand-delivering glasses over to press row after the game. I've got mine. Very happy about that. Here's Clingan on Glass Night.
Speaking of a special night like tonight, the most important thing to are you aware of the glass, right?
Yeah, I heard about the glass.
You know that was tonight, right?
Yeah, that was tonight. I realized that right before the game. I think I need to find a way to get a couple.
Yeah, got to get one to Nana. Jump on that, bro. So Donovan Clingan, 17 points, 13 boards, 8 blocks. Sensational last night. And he's a rookie. Now, the other great part from the game was your third-year player, who was also taken very high in the draft, Shaedon Sharpe, number 7 overall, career high 33 points, and he was laser sharp in the fourth quarter. He carried the Blazers' offense in the fourth. Clingan led the defense, Sharpe led the offense, and Shaedon was terrific. And Coach talked about him after the game.
Well, I just see him getting more comfortable. I'm starting to run a lot more stuff for him as he's starting to get to a point where he can, kind of play without restrictions and things like that. It was good to see him really get back going. And our guys, they really trust him to get going in those situations. So I was really happy for Shaedon. I mean, he's another guy that played great.
Yeah, he was. He was terrific. Now, Coach also shared his thoughts on the team responding to the message after that Sunday beatdown.
But again, like I said, we came in the following day, we sat and had a real honest conversation. And I think that there's a lot to be gained from honesty. We addressed those things, and it's just amazing what you can do when you do it together. And no matter who's out there, you know, when you play for your buddy, it's amazing how good you can play, whether you win or lose. So that's all I could tell you for real is like we playing so hard, we playing together. They care about them playing well together, you know, and it's just amazing what you can do. These guys are not in the NBA for no reason. They're great players. I love to see it. You know, they're playing for their buddy, and that's what we want.
There you go. There's Coach Billups on the response from the team, but I really think that last night gave us a glimpse of what maybe we're going to get in the future, and it's exciting. Delano Banton, 24 minutes, 13 points, 5 assists, 2 steals. He was terrific throughout the course of the game, but especially in the fourth quarter because he was the main guy who was handling the rock and facilitating the offense, along with Shaedon Sharpe. Elsewhere, I thought great contributions from Chris Murray. 20 minutes, 6 points, 4 boards, 1 assist, and 2 steals. He normally is in the right place. You don't have to tell him to do something twice. He knows where he needs to be. His energy at times was terrific. Denny Avdia last night played hard. 7 points, 6 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. Didn't shoot the ball great, but he only put up 5 shots, but made a tremendous impact by really helping push the tempo. And that hard-nosed attitude on defense. And he fed off of the energy from Donovan Clingan. Scoot Henderson had a couple of head-scratching moments, but had a couple of great moments too. You can see that the game is continuing to slow down. 11 points, 5 assists, 2 steals. 27 minutes. I think the only concern there would be that Coach went with Banton in the fourth because he trusted him more to be able to, run the offense and be secure with the basketball. The turnovers continue to be a problem for Scoot. He had 5 of them last night. Led the team in turnovers. Shaedon Sharpe, 36 minutes, 33 points, and was just everywhere. 6 rebounds, played with confidence. They looked for him, his teammates, even Jeremy Grant, the veterans, were looking to get him the ball more in the fourth because he had it going. And he was doing it from the outside. He was attacking off the bounce. He was working on the offensive glass. He did everything. And then Toumani Camara. He's like the unsung hero. 11 points, 8 boards, 2 steals, and just defensive mentality. He was really matching the energy defensively that we saw from Clingan, and he was pissing off Anthony Edwards, which is great to see. Camara is like the quintessential Chauncey Billups type guy. 35 minutes, great defense, good mentality, and just does a little bit of everything. He peppers the stat sheet and finds ways to impact the game. And then Donovan Clingan. I mean, what else do you want from that guy? 31 minutes, 17 points, 13 boards, 1 assist, 8 blocks, 6 of 10 shooting, 5 of 5 at the free throw line as a rookie. It was terrific. That was a great game. And again, let's go back to the goals, right? What are the priorities right now? Talent acquisition, either through draft picks or young talent, and then player development. And so when you look at the roster and see the way the young guys really came through in spades last night, I think you've got to be encouraged as a Trailblazer fan. Now, Rip City Mike reached out to me, and he asked me a very simple question. And he's not the only one that has had thoughts like this. It's come up a few times. But he said, Chad, the Blazers are currently 5-8. If they keep playing like this for the rest of the season, they will win more than 20 games and won't be in a position to get Cooper Flag. What do you think about that? Well, one, I'm not concerned because last night was great, and it was good to see the young guys really shine through. And if you're going to have games like that where your young players are leading the charge and playing like that, and you're getting career nights from Donovan Clingan and Shaedon Sharpe, then you'll live with the result. But just look at their schedule over the next 17 games. Their first 30 games on the schedule are brutal. I don't think losses are going to be an issue. I think they're going to come. But when you get a 2-game stretch or a 3-game stretch where they play like this and some of the youngsters step up and produce, you just applaud and you think about what could be. We want to see that. And it wasn't the veterans last night that got it done. It was the young guys. Whether it was Delano Banton or Shaedon Sharpe or Donovan Clingan or Toumani Camara, it was the young guys who you're trying to take a look at to understand who's going to be a part of the core moving forward that got it done. So, again, player development. It's very important, especially with the young guys who appear to be a part of the core. You want to see those type of moments to show you flashes of what they could be. Now, with Shaedon Sharpe, I do know that the team they feel pretty good about where he's at and what they have in him. And so for him to, really play as well as he has since he come back from the injury, they got to feel good about that because they need these draft picks to hit. You need Clingan, Scoot, and Shaedon to cash. And I feel more confident about Clingan and Shaedon today than I do Scoot. Scoot's got a lot of work to do. All right, let's go out to the phones, 503-248-0620. Raider Mike, who is in Georgia right now working for FEMA. Let's check in with him. Raider Mike, what's up?
Dude, good to hear your voice, man.
It's nice to hear your voice, Raider Mike.
I'm in the middle of nowhere.
What town in Georgia are you closest to right now?
I'm in Baxley, Georgia. Fort Stewart, which I trained in for like 4 or 5 years, is right there. And then you got Savannah right up the road. So when I can get loose, I go to Savannah, go up there and sing a little bit. This is it's desolate, and then it get wiped off the map by a hurricane. I'm like, these people didn't need this. They just did not. 3 subjects, Blazers, which you just eloquently explained. That Blazer package thing where you can watch them on your phone, that exists, right?
Yeah, it's called Blazer Vision. Correct.
I want to watch them now. I mean, I see highlights all over the place. I'm like, Clingan, that dude, he's just a badass. I love that guy. He's like a Bill Laimbeer Jr. almost. You put a little edge on him, oh, God, domination. And Shaedon, that dunk I saw, whoa. Anyway, I'm happy with the Blazers. I'm going to start watching again.
Good.
It's been, 2.5, 3 years. I want my team back. They're back. Next, wearing Oregon Duck colors in Georgia around these rednecks, it's fun and funny because Georgia, they're just not that good this year. And I called their loss to Ole Miss, so whatever, guys.
Yeah, be careful.
Kind of fun.
Be careful talking junk to Georgia fans. They crazy, Mike. They crazy. And I just checked the population of Baxley, Georgia, 4,945.
Yeah, I said 5,000. Yeah, that's it. There is no bars here. There's no place to watch sports radio or sports of any sorts. It's just gone.
Are you still sleeping in the tower or are you in a hotel?
Oh, no. I right now I'm with a woman. So
right, like right now? Right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, she doesn't like what I do on the radio.
Oh.
She doesn't understand it. She's just like, just show up. We'll watch a movie and do whatever we do. Now, lastly, got to get this out. The Raiders are going to get Shedeur. Everyone else can just stop. The breadcrumbs are there. Every time on Instagram the Raiders lose, Shedeur says, thank God. I miss you, Chad. I hear Billy Ocean.
I know. That's why I got to shut you up. I don't want you interrupting Billy Ocean, all right? I'm not trying to say you're my lover boy, but I just want to hear Billy. Baxley, Georgia, 4,945. And Mike's out there with a woman. Yeah, every time Raider Mike comes on, I get a series of text messages wanting to know if he's drunk. And my answer to that is yes, I think he is. I've never heard Raider Mike not in some state of drunk or stupor.
Is that just who he is, and or is he just always drunk?
I don't know. I mean, the time I've been around him, on the golf course and stuff, he was fine. But if you're out in Baxley, Georgia, with a population of just over 4,900 people, and you're working for FEMA, wouldn't that be a good reason to drink, though? Seriously.
I was just envisioning he's in Hazard County, like the Dukes of Hazzard, and that's where he's doing his work.
But he's very charming because he's honest to a fault, as Tony and Boring pointed out. Like, he'll tell you whatever he thinks and whatever he's doing and whatever's on his mind. And I respect that. He's crazy, but I like certain crazy people. Raider Mike's one of them. He's a cool dude, but crazy. But, yeah, he was stuttering just a little bit, little slur action going on. Oh, well, what can you do? I'm just saying that I might be looking to the bottle, too, if I was out in Baxley, Georgia, in the middle of nowhere with working for FEMA. Like, that's hard work. So I respect the fact that he's going into these places. And he's done this more than once, going into these hurricane-hit areas to help clean up. Brutal. Let's go out to Brandon in Portland. I think he wants to trade some veterans. Hey, Brandon, welcome to the show, my friend. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Chad?
What's up?
Man, I'm just calling to say I'm afraid this Blazers team is actually a little bit too good right now in the context of his preseason hopes that we would be in the mix for the number one pick. I understand we're 5-8 right now. It doesn't sound great on paper, but if you look at the wins we have this year, outside of one Pelican game where their whole team was hurt, we got 4 good wins: healthy Clippers, healthy Pelicans, these back-to-back wins against the Timberwolves. And I'm afraid that, obviously there's no chance that we could make a deep run, but I think the concern is, what happens if we win 30 games, and we are drastically decreasing our odds with number one pick? And I think the issue is, obviously I understand Cronin is trying to probably wait till the deadline, wait till some of these competitive teams want to make a move and add a piece. But I'm curious your opinion on balancing that in the context of what happens if we win too many games before the deadline, that we functionally eliminate ourselves from, having a legitimate chance at the number one pick. I think that we gotta, everyone knows it. We gotta get rid of Ant. We gotta get rid of Grant. We gotta get rid of Ayton. Obviously, we gotta trade Time Lord before he gets hurt, which could be in 3 days. But how do we balance this thing in the context of we don't want to lose value for these guys, but also a point in time can come where we've won so many games that the potential that we've lost out on this number one pick could actually be more detrimental than the upside on, getting max value on the trades for these guys.
Well, I appreciate the phone call, Brandon. I'll address that because you're not the only one with that concern. First off, if you look at their schedule upcoming, they're going to play Atlanta on Sunday at Moda Center. They're probably going to win that game. But after that, they take off on a road trip at Oklahoma City, back-to-back games at Houston against the Rockets, at Memphis, at Indiana. How many of those games are they going to win? None? Maybe one? And then when they come back home, they get Sacramento, Dallas, before they take off to L.A. to take on the Clippers. So while they got back-to-back wins at home against Minnesota, I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you look over the first half of the schedule, the first 30 games, like the next 17 games on the schedule, there aren't too many W's there. They have 5 wins on the year right now. The teams with the worst record, including Utah, the team they're battling in the West for the bottom spot, has 2 wins. I just don't think there's going to be too many wins for this team on the schedule. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. They're not winning 30 games, I can tell you that much. Now, the thing about the game last night is that it was the youth. It was the young guys. It was Tamani Kamara. It was Donovan Clingan. It was Shaden Sharp. If the young guys who you're going to play and develop are going to have big nights and you win, then so be it. That's good for them in their development. In regards to the veterans on the roster, Joe Cronin's going to move out some guys. We know that. But he's going to do it when he believes he's getting the best possible deal. And so that's just going to take some time. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I agree that they're going to move out some of the veterans for the continued pursuit of young assets and allow more playing time for some of the young guys on the roster. But I don't think until that time comes that they're going to win too many games. Now, Utah appears to be focused early on really going into the tank. But I just think Portland, they're just not good enough to be able to win too many games with the schedule that they have. And, look, Joe Cronin's well aware of the process and what they're trying to accomplish. So their moves will be made to make sure that their best interests are protected. So, no, I'm not too concerned. Back-to-back wins at home against Minnesota was fun. It was good. It's good for the guys, especially the young guys last night. But they're going to be fine. I don't think we have too much to worry about. And then after that, after this recent stretch, they're going to play Utah on December 6th. But then after that, they're in LA against the Lakers, home against Denver, at San Antonio, at Dallas, home against Utah again. So they get these 2 games against Utah on December 26th and December 6th. But after that, Dallas, Philly, at the Lakers, at the Bucks. They get a game at the Pistons, at the Pelicans, at Dallas. Yeah, their schedule's brutal. It is what it is. There just aren't too many wins that you can point to and say they're definitely going to get that game. They're going to be underdogs in most of the games they play. And now with Ant out as they continue to run tests, we don't know how long he's going to be out. But if we're going to get games like last night where Klingon and Sharp are going to play out of their minds and they win, you can live with the result because you're getting a chance to develop part of your future core, which is critical. And they need that. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. We got another question. Duke, the UPS guy, he's been asking me different questions surrounding the Oregon Ducks. Like, if they lose this weekend at Wisconsin, will they still be number one? What if Oregon wins and then Indiana blows out Ohio State? Are they still number one? I just don't think the rankings really matter that much. In fact, I don't think they matter at all. Here's the key for Oregon. Just get to the Big Ten title game and win that game, whether it's Ohio State or Indiana. I think the most important thing that even surpasses your ranking right now is making sure that you get one of the byes in the playoff. So if they get into the Big Ten title game and win the game, and they're definitely going to the Big Ten title game, whether it's Indiana or Ohio State, win the game and then get the bye. So you're not playing an extra game. That way you get time to rest and get your guys 100% for your push. And the last thing you want is to play an extra game with the type of competition you're going to face come playoff time. Because Oregon, if they win the Big Ten title game, more than likely they're going to face Ohio State a third time and then possibly have to play Georgia to win a national championship. So less games is better. Getting that bye to refocus and get guys healthy before you start the playoff push, I think, is going to be critical. So I really don't care about the rankings. Oregon's set. They're going to be in the Big Ten title game. Indiana, whether they beat Ohio State or not, will be a part of the playoff. I mean, things are really taking shape. But I think the most important thing is if you want to win a national championship, win your conference title game and make sure you get a bye to put yourself in the best position possible. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Cale Wambacher are going to join us to talk about the progress with the new stadium. That's coming up at 5:20. Chad Doing with you. It's the Rip City Drive. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Chad here, 5 o'clock. We've got Thursday Night Football coming up on Prime, 15 minutes away. Commanders at the Eagles. That kickoff at 5:15. Philly is favored by 4. Oregon State and Air Force from Colorado Springs. Kickoff at 12:30. Pregame at 10:30. On your home of the Beavs, 1190 KX. OSU's favored by 3.5. Number 1, Oregon will be at Wisconsin. That kickoff at 4:30 on NBC. The Ducks favored by 14. Trailblazers hammer the Timberwolves and make it back-to-back wins on back-to-back nights. 106-98 the final last night. The star was Donovan Clingan. 17 points, 13 boards, and 8 blocks. Shaden Sharp, career high, 33 points. Portland will get 3 days off. The Atlanta Hawks are in town Sunday at Moda. Tip at 3. Our coverage starts at 1. Live from Moda with Blazers Game Day, Chris Burkhardt. It's all presented by Coors Light. Kale Wambacher of the Hillsborough Hops will join us coming up at 5:20. Yeah, I asked Michael Shacker yesterday if he was going to make the trip to Colorado Springs to be with the Beavers radio team. He's not. It's going to be one of our good friends, Dylan, who's going to handle that, who lives local there in Colorado. If you have not made the trip to check a game at Air Force, you should probably do that. I've been up there multiple times. I was out there a couple of years ago with my buddy Steve. We went to Air Force and Boise State, which was great. I've seen Notre Dame up there. But Colorado Springs is beautiful, one of my favorite places in the country. And the football set up there at Air Force with NORAD and everything that surrounds it's awesome. And the football stadium's basically directly across I-25 from where the main part of town is. And it's real easy to get to, and it sits right up in the foothills below the mountains. And it's like 6,500 feet above sea level. But it's part of the reason of why I love college football so much is I love all the different towns, the different stadiums, the different traditions, the different tailgating setup, the whole shebang. And so I love checking out these different spots. But Air Force is really cool. And I think the academies are very unique in their own right. But the stadium's really nice. Good setup. There's not a bad seat in the house. It's a smaller stadium. But one of my favorite things to do before the games is walk around the concourse. And they've got this, they call it the band pit. And as you're walking around the concourse, you'll hear a bunch of music from the band coming from down below. And then you can walk over and look down into this pit, and they're all down there playing their music. And then the tradition is you throw money down there, like dollar bills and stuff. You just drop it down the pit, and it just floats down to them to raise money for the band. And they're down there just jamming away and playing music. But a good setup. So for the Beavs, what do they need? 2 wins. This is one game they have to have if they're going to have hopes at bowl eligibility. They need 2 of their last 3 games, and they've got Air Force. Would have been nice if they could have won the game last week against San Jose State, but they came up short. Air Force, and I think they got Washington State and Boise. That's going to be tough because both those teams are playing good football. And with the injuries that the Beavers have suffered, especially on defense and the attrition, just imagine how many yards a guy like Ashton Genty might put up on them. But a good opportunity for Oregon State to get back on track and get a win this weekend. Oregon, I thought early in the season, maybe this Wisconsin game, because of Luke Fickell and the way he coaches, that I think this is going to be a tough game, but based on what I've seen, I just think Oregon they're too good right now. They're probably going to win the game. I think they're going to beat Washington, but this game here, it looks like Oregon might finish out the season unbeaten. But again, the number 1 ranking or being undisputed number 1, having an unbeaten season, those things are nice, but who cares? What matters most is getting a bye and not having to play an extra game in the playoff. And so that's really where Oregon's focus needs to be. The good thing is they've done a good job of managing the roster to get guys healthy and back and ready to go. And I think if you can get yourself as close to 100% as possible before you start the playoff run, that's another reason why I like getting that bye so you get some extra rest and prep time. And it's nice for the coaches to have a chance to sit back and scout and be able to put together some expansive game plans. So I'm excited to see what Oregon is going to do this week, but more importantly, moving forward. I still don't know what to think. I expect Ohio State to beat Indiana, but I do know that Coach Cignetti is doing a heck of a job with that team, and they're a difficult team to match up with because of that spread option offense. I'll be pulling for the Hoosiers, as I'm sure you will as well, because Ohio State fans are annoying, and I would enjoy them losing that game, but I expect Ohio State to win. And I'm impressed. I got to give props to Ohio State because their bounce back after the loss to Oregon, especially with that win at Penn State, was impressive, and they've been doing it at the line of scrimmage, physically getting the job done. And man for man, if you take a look at the roster top down, they've got one of the best rosters in the country. Ohio State's talented, but their quarterback is not Dylan Gabriel. Will Howard is not Dylan Gabriel, and that's the Ducks' ace card right there is him. And what I like about Oregon right now is just winning games at the line of scrimmage. This team is constructed differently than any of the top Oregon teams that we've seen in the past. They're physically more dominant at the point of attack. They're winning games at the line of scrimmage. Their offensive line has gotten better with each passing game. They're giving Gabriel time. They're keeping him upright, and the Ducks' offense has now got balance because they're running the football better, and Dylan Gabriel is now in a position of comfort. He's at peace with this game right now. He knows his personnel. He's got a good feel for the offense, and that's why you're seeing more of the big plays. So I really like where Oregon sits. And then you take a look around the country. I still think the most difficult matchup for Oregon would be Georgia because of the challenges they present with their defensive line, that defensive front seven, and the type of pressure they can put on you, the way that defensive front can take over a football game. But with Georgia's offense, they've proven they're not one of the top units in the country this year. They're like 50th nationally in total offense. They're turning it over. They're getting inconsistent play from their offensive line. They got issues up front. I now don't think that Georgia is an immovable force. I just think Oregon's in a great spot. Now, again, with the playoff and the way it's set up, it's going to be much more difficult to win a national championship because you have to win multiple games and you've got to get through some of the best teams in the country. That's going to be tough, especially if you're facing Ohio State a third time. What would that look like? Or you beat Ohio State and you got to play Georgia to win a national championship. That's not easy either. So that's where we're at. But again, with college football right now, multiple teams still alive, plenty of interest for fan bases across the country, and it's giving us a slew of games every weekend. And I'm enjoying the heck out of it. But Oregon looks really strong right now. But again, one game at a time. Health is going to be critical. But most importantly for Oregon, just win the Big Ten title game. But that would be a sweet rematch, wouldn't it? Because so far that's been, the game of the year, Oregon and Ohio State. Get the rematch there, and let's see how Oregon can do it a second time. I mean, if Washington can beat Oregon twice, Oregon can beat Ohio State twice. There's no doubt about it. But I like the way the Ducks are playing. And props to Dan Lanning and his staff. The way they've coached these guys up and continue to tinker and fine-tune to get all the different position groups playing at the best that they possibly can is great. And Dylan Gabriel is a diligent worker who's put in the time. He's a big game quarterback, and you can tell and see with the way he's playing, the more comfort that he's experiencing in the offense. So if you're a Duck fan, you should feel pretty good about things right now. And I think it was Alex Brink that said it this year, where you don't have a clear-cut, like dominant force. Like right now in the college football playoff rankings, Oregon's 1, Ohio State's 2, Texas, Penn State, and Indiana. That's your top 5. 6 through 10 is BYU, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Miami, and Alabama. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's not one dominant force that you look at and think, well, that team can't be beaten. In the past, maybe Georgia or Alabama, but now, it does appear to be wide open. Each team in the top 5 has got strengths, but each team in the top 5 has weaknesses. I still think Penn State's a fraud at number 4. We're going to find out more about Indiana when they take on Ohio State. Texas has been really good. Their offensive line is terrific. They've got big guys, strong guys up front. They're good at the line of scrimmage, but they were manhandled by Georgia. So it's anyone's game right now. I just think the bye is the key. Get the bye and get yourself ready. I think what we're seeing now with more definition as time has gone on, the Big 12 probably only going to get one team in. And the ACC probably only going to get one team in. But you'll get multiple teams from the SEC, multiple teams from the Big 10, and then we'll see which of the group of 5 schools will get in. Is it Boise? What about Army? Can they beat Notre Dame and finish unbeaten? I don't know, but that's going to be a fun game too. That game's going to be played at Yankee Stadium. I just think it's going to be cool as time goes on, because what you're going to have occasionally is one of these schools that comes out of nowhere. So maybe it's an Army, or it could be Boise State, or maybe it's Washington State, one of these schools you don't foresee who could get in. And then we'll see if we get one of these first-round matchups in the playoffs where you get an upset. I think we'd all cheer for that. That'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. And, of course, those first-round games will be on campus sites, which is going to be terrific, because you could have games at, potentially Georgia, maybe at Alabama. I mean, just seeing the playoff games on a campus site, I think, will be wildly terrific and something we're all going to enjoy. Aaron Rodgers is back in the news, and he was talking about the lack of patience in the NFL. Let's take a listen to what A-Rod has to say.
Well, unfortunately, that's the nature of our league now, right? It's coaches and play callers on both sides of the ball aren't making it through a season. There's just not a lot of patience anymore in the league. It's get this guy out of here. And unfortunately, what happens, and I really mean this, is a lot of it is rinse and repeat under the guise of a brand new scheme, brand new approach. And that's the way the league is going too often. There's not the patience to go, listen, I believe in X, this person, this scheme, this coordinator, this player, and we're going to weather these storms because it's going to make us a mentally tough group or a mentally tough person. Yeah. And we're going to get behind these people. And this is, I don't care what you have to say outside the building. This is what we're going to do.
I don't disagree with that. I think a lot of times change is made before you need to make change. That sometimes being patient and allowing a group to grow together, both players and coaches, can be the right move. Look at what the Denver Nuggets did, where they kept Mike Malone and that core together, and they eventually got over the hump and won a championship. But he's right. There's not a lot of patience. He was also asked if he plans on playing next year in 2025.
Not really. Not for the negative, no. Not really.
You don't want to play in 2025?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so he thinks so. The question is, would it be with the Jets? Would you bring him back if you're the Jets? And maybe the Jets are the wrong team. They'll do the wrong thing. Whatever they do, it'll be the wrong thing because of the Jets. But if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play for the Jets, what team would be crazy enough to bring him in and give him one shot? I want Aaron Rodgers to come back because I don't like the idea of one of the all-time greats, having their career end on such a sour note like this year, because everything the Jets have done has been a disaster. What a crap franchise. But that's on Aaron Rodgers. You went to the Jets. What'd you expect? Greatness? They're just a pathetic franchise with pathetic leadership that has proven over the course of multiple decades that they have no clue of what they're doing. They suck. The Jets are terrible. And we've seen this in sports long enough. There are some franchises like the Browns, like the Jets, you can point to, and you just know right away they're not going to get the job done because they have idiots making decisions. And then franchises like the Steelers and the Ravens, who have smart people and strong front offices, they're constantly in a position to compete for a championship because they make good decisions. All right, Cale Wambacher is going to join us next. We'll get the latest details on the brand new stadium coming out to Hillsboro and what the deal is with season tickets. And you can check out, we'll get more details on the CAM. You can watch construction, but I do believe the concrete has been laid now. Dugouts are being formed, and they're making a lot of progress out there. We'll get the details next from Cale Wambacher. All right, joining us right now on the Rip City Drive, the general manager for the Hillsboro Hops, Cale Wambacher, good friend of the show. Cale, it's great to have you back on, my friend. Welcome.
Yeah, Chad, great to be back. Thanks for having me.
We got a lot of good things to talk about. I guess we'll start with this. Concrete has been poured. The dugouts are taking form. What's it like to see the vision come to life when you drive to work every day with the new stadium?
Oh, man, it is so exciting. It literally builds by the day, both the excitement and the concrete, I guess. But, we started going vertical with some structural walls that kind of frame the home plate area in where the seating bowl will be attached to. And now the outfield wall is cut in, so you can see the shape of the outfield. You can see where the bullpens are going to go. The dugouts are there. So it's every day we're kind of, keeping an eye on progress and just get more and more excited.
Now, for fans, if they want to check in, you guys have a construction cam on the website where you can actually log on and be able to check out what's going on, right?
Yeah, exactly. Mortensen, our contractor, put that up. I think it's been a little tough on our owners because they'll just sit there and watch it for 4 or 5 hours at a time. But it's been a nice tool.
Cale, I know that Mortensen, they've done a lot of work on, ballparks around the country. I think they did a lot of work in Minnesota with their ballpark. You've had a chance to travel around and see some of that work. What's that process been like for you when you go around to see some of these other ballparks to maybe, get ideas for what you want to have and what you don't want to have with your ballpark?
I think that's going to be one of the coolest things about this project. I mean, this is the first major sports entertainment venue built in this market in 30 years. And the way the fan experience has changed over the last 3 decades is pretty drastic. So to be able to design something from the ground up with today and tomorrow's fan experience in mind is a real treat for us. And we took a lot of time. I mean, we've got a lot of experience in sports in our front office, probably 120 plus years working in sports with some of us combined. And so being able to take a lot of our experiences, a lot of the different venues that we've liked across the country that we've toured, be able to take some of those ideas and make them our own here in this market. We're pretty bullish on how special this place is going to be.
And when it comes to making decisions about the ballpark, I mean, you can get down to every little detail, right? Like you have the freedom to kind of pick and choose every little aspect that you would want the experience to be.
I mean, we have our hands involved probably to the detriment of our design and our build team. We're placing outlets where they should be. We're choosing light fixtures. We're choosing carpeting. We're adding and subtracting, casework like cabinets. Now we're starting to design a lot of the interiors with where the furniture is going to go, what type of furniture we're going to have, look and feel of places, the branding work. So we're literally designing every square inch of this building, which is, pretty intimidating at times, but by taking it piece by piece and having a clear vision of how we want this venue to function and how we want people to enjoy it. We're using that as our North Star with a lot of the decisions we're making.
We're talking with Cale Wambacher, general manager for the Hops. Now, this is not your first rodeo. You were part of a transition going from Yakima out to Hillsboro. What's this process been like with a transition to a brand new ballpark as you're seeing the construction come together? How do those two situations compare in terms of your experience and what you've been through?
Well, it probably ruined me a little bit because I think I know what I'm doing, but in reality, I mean, what we built the first time was, a $15 million ballpark in 9 months, with a couple months of design. It's a really nice venue, but now we're building a real stadium. I mean, this is a $125 million venue. It's state of the art, pretty much everything. We have a very sizable budget that we can put in a really premium sound system. We can put in extra leg room for everybody. We can, put a nice roof structure that's going to give us shade for our full seating bowl. A lot of these things, our food service. I mean, we're going to spend almost as much money just on our food service alone that we spent on the entire ballpark the first time around. So, the scale of this is just, it's not comparable to what we did 12 years ago. And so, while I have experience with this, it pales in comparison to the experience we're gaining now.
Now, Cale, the new stadium will be ready for 2026, which means you're going into one final year at a current ballpark. So, how does that work? Like, you obviously you've got money invested in a brand new stadium, which is coming in 2026, but yet you still got one more year at the current ballpark. So, what do you expect in that final year with the transition?
It's a huge advantage for us. It gives us a really good ramp up period to whether it's ramp up our staff or ramp up our sales programs to make sure that when we get to 2026, we've pretty much sold out every seat in this new ballpark, which we think we're going to do. So it also allows us to kind of celebrate the current ballpark. I mean, in reality, there's a ton of just amazing memories that people have had in this current ballpark. So it gives us this year to really celebrate what this facility has done, what this team has done in the community. A lot of the memories that people have shared at this ballpark, we can celebrate that for 2025. And then every day when people come out to games in 2025, they can look across the parking lot and see the new ballpark being built and kind of watch it change through the season, which is going to be pretty cool too.
That is going to be pretty sweet. Now, in regards to one big deal would be naming rights. Do you have a list of companies that are competing for the opportunity to have naming rights on the new stadium? Where's that process at?
We just started some of our outreach. We're in our infancy, but we're already seeing some really good inquiries and excitement around it. We've also started a founding partner program where we're going to have 8 spots for partners to invest in the building rather than just kind of be a logo on a wall. And those conversations have gone extremely well as well. So, it's a different approach for us, going from selling sponsorships to selling naming rights and founding partnerships. But whether it's current partners or partners that have done tickets with us in the past and are now interested in that sponsorship level, the excitement is shared. And so that makes our jobs a lot easier selling this building.
All right, Cale, my buddy, the voice of the Trailblazers, Travis Demers, as you know, he's a baseball guy. He wanted me to ask you a specific question. We assume that you're going to have a turf field, but what about the mound and the home plate area? Is that going to be dirt?
Mound and home plate will be dirt. And we're actually looking at this. We're not sure if we're going to pull the trigger, but we're looking at this new turf product that doesn't even have an infill mix. So it mimics real grass a lot more closer than any turf product before. So we're trying to find the best and most innovative products to put into this facility so it serves our community and baseball players, player development, and everything for decades to come.
That's pretty sweet. We're talking with Cale Wambacher, general manager for the Hillsboro Hops. I think it was you that told me this, and I found this fascinating, that through your communication with fans, the one thing that came up, not so much suites, but people really like the club level type access. And I'm a big fan of that myself because when I've been to Colorado and gone to Rocky games, the club level is my favorite area to sit. So what were some of the feedback that you got from your fans in terms of what they were really into and not so much into that may have surprised you?
It was really interesting, and I think that was one of the best things we did. Was we did 2 different feasibility studies, and through those feasibility studies, 2 different companies, we did a ton of outreach to current fans and also prospective fans. Kind of more general public type inquiries. A lot of surveying. I mean, we had, we way over indexed as far as the number of responses we got on those surveys. And in both of those independent studies, suites tested really low and club seats tested extremely high. So did small private group spaces. But, when we started reflecting on it, it kind of made sense. When we get to April, people want to be outside. And, we've been inside for many months going to Blazers games and everything else. And, now the sun's out and it's warming up and we all want to be outside being in Oregon. And so I think that's what made sense to us of, okay, the suite product, we can always add suites down the line if we need to, but we're going to do a concourse suite. So it's kind of a suite experience, but it's an open air concourse box. It's on the backside of the seating bowl. We'll have 7 of those, the capacity around 20 people. So someone that wants that kind of small group private experience will have that, good food and beverage, all that kind of stuff. But we went all in on our premium club product. So we've got a 9,000 square foot lounge. It's going to be huge. Great food and beverage program attached to that with about a total of around 600 to 700 club seats.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Really excited to hear about that. The other thing I was wondering, too, for you, after the entire process, and you had to get involved in the politics of it in order to get the funding necessary to be able to build a brand new stadium, and it was successful. Have you had people around the country that maybe know you or know what you went through that have reached out who are maybe going through a similar situation that were looking for details on how to go about that process?
Yeah, we have. And, it's been fun to share our experience and, some things we learned along the way. But I also had a ton of people that had gone through this before that I was able to call on for resources and really helped accelerate my learning curve. I think the one thing in sports is it's a small world, and it doesn't matter if you work for an NBA team or a Major League Baseball team or a minor league baseball team. You kind of share that common ground of working in sports, and we all want to help each other out. So, it's been nice to share some of the insights that we gained, but also I'm super grateful for all the insight that I was able to gain. I mean, even Chris Oxley, who was with the Blazers for a long time, he helped us out when we were pursuing the state funding the last round, and he didn't, it's not like we paid him or anything, but he really believed in what we were doing. He wanted to lend his expertise and advice to help me along the way, especially on the government relations side, because that's what he was really good at with the Blazers.
What was the first phone call you made? So when you get orders from, your owners on what needs to be done and how you need to secure funding, and you have to venture out into this territory you've never taken on before, like, who was your first phone call to try and figure out what your first step was?
Well, I mean, the ownership for sure. It's kind of like, all right, what do we want to do here, and how much are we willing to invest from an ownership standpoint, because that can help chart the path. But the first phone call outside of our organization was the city manager and mayor of Hillsborough. We've got good relationships there. We think we've really represented the city well, and the city values this team in Hillsborough. And so we were confident that we'd have a partner there with the city. And we're relieved that Robbie Hammond, the city manager, Mayor Callaway, they were extremely open to taking this on with us. And then we had the help of Raheem Harji, who's the assistant city manager. That was kind of the bulldog that, was going to find a way to get this done. And both Robbie and Raheem on the city administrative side, they were headstrong that we'll figure this out. We can't pay for the whole building. We'll be a partner with you. We'll also help lobby and help open doors with potential county funding or state funding, which they helped with. So definitely couldn't have done it without the city as a partner.
That's terrific. We're talking with Cale Wambacher, general manager for the Hops. Now, this is pretty exciting, and you can lay out the details for us. But from my understanding, current ticket package or group buyers, season ticket holders, they've got priority, but you have a wait list for the new ballpark. And I think it's as simple as a $50 deposit, which gets you on the wait list for 2026. Tell us what we need to do to be able to get access to tickets for the new park.
Yeah, it's, we every day we're getting inquiries on, how do I get in line? How do I get priority? That sort of thing. So we kind of strategized a waitlist program. So we launched that today. It hit at 10 a.m. We've already seen really good traffic on that, which is exciting. But a $50 refundable deposit will guarantee your spot on the wait list and kind of guarantee your place in line for 2026 to purchase any ticket package. It's not going to be just for season tickets. But if anyone that purchases into the 2025 season or has been purchasing tickets along the way, they're already locked into their spot. So they'll kind of jump the line, so to speak. And so you can either, jump the line or get in line with the $50 wait list right now and lock in your spot, or purchase into the 2025 season, which helps your priority.
That's awesome. The other thing I wanted to ask you too, I've been spending a lot of time at Moda Center with the Trailblazer games lately, and I've been amazed because I'm there until late, well after the game, at how many people there are working to put the event on, to clean up after people leave and do all this different stuff. And I'm just wondering, in terms of the new stadium being there and the Hops being able to remain in Hillsborough and be a vital part of the community, economically for the area and then also for jobs, like, can you bottom line what that means for everyone that's involved with the Hops and the ballpark and what it's going to bring to the area?
Yeah, I mean, that was our big selling point to the state when it came to state investment, because being a state income tax, we generate quite a bit of income to the state through our payroll. Construction alone is going to be close to just under $7 million back to the state in state income tax just during construction. And then it's about $1.5 million plus per year that will go back to the state. So the state's investment of $15 million actually gets paid back in about, I think, 6 or 7 years. But we employ a couple hundred people now from a part-time standpoint in a front office of 20-ish, and we'll probably double those numbers in the new ballpark. So it's definitely going to be an economic driver for the region.
All right. Why don't you bottom line that again for people listening? Where's the best place to go to be able to get the $50 deposit in to get on the wait list?
HillsboroHops.com. It's right on the front page. The wait list link is right there. So go to HillsboroHops.com. The media wall, click on that media wall. It'll take you right to the page. $50 refundable deposit, very low barrier of entry, but locks your place in line for 2026.
Gosh, this is awesome. Well, Kale, I appreciate you coming on to give us the latest details. Congratulations on all the things that have come together for you and your entire team and all the different people that worked with you over time. This is exciting. And you're right, man, to have a state-of-the-art facility, not just for baseball, but that will hold concerts and different events throughout the year is going to be great for all of us. We win.
Yeah. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. And really appreciate you having me on, Chad. Love your show. Keep doing the good work.
I appreciate it, buddy. We'll talk soon. There's Kale Wambacher, General Manager for your Hops, and you can jump on the wait list right now and be a part of that. That's awesome. Not to mention concerts. I mean, Shacker, we're going to get concerts in a great outdoor venue. That's money.
So many festivals just skip this market, this area.
Yeah.
Go straight to Seattle, Vancouver, California, no Portland.
Yeah, because we love sports, but I love live concerts too. And you're right, now with a venue like that, we're going to get a lot more shows in the area for the bands that we want to see.
Yeah, for example, there's rumors this week AC/DC is about to announce some North American tour dates in the near future. I'm worried Portland might not be on that list.
Certainly they would come to Moda.
I don't know. I've seen a handful of tours just skip Portland when they're announcing the tours that are coming out for 2025.
Who's singing lead for them now?
Oh, I don't know if they have to get a fill-in.
That might be a good concert, Shacker. Let's see here. Just go to Rabbi Google whenever you're in doubt.
Yeah,
it's still Brian Johnson? Is it still Brian?
Yeah, I know he does like studio stuff. I don't know if he's available for touring.
And
That'd be cool if he has one more tour in him.
He's still fronting AC/DC. Yeah, more concerts is a good thing. All right, big thanks to Kale. He's one of the smartest people I've ever come across. I don't understand how people do what they do. That's a smart guy right there. Kale's a good dude, and he is really smart, and he knows how to bring people together, and he surrounds himself with good people. There's basically nothing not to like about Kale Wambacher. But that stadium's going to be dope. And it's going to be state-of-the-art. Going to be great for baseball, concerts. What is the best outdoor venue right now in the area? Is it Edgefield? Which isn't that good.
Or the one up in the Clark County Fairgrounds.
Oh, the amphitheater.
RV.
The one right by my home.
That's a tough drive on a weekday if you're trying to get to an evening show during gridlock.
Yeah, for people who live in Portland, yeah. Yeah, for me, I'm literally, it would take me, if I jump in my rig, I'm there in like 4 to 5 minutes.
Wow, you could walk. It'd probably take longer to get out of that parking lot.
And depending on the night, you can hear the noise either from the fair or the amphitheater. Now, this is Bon Scott, AC/DC right here, right?
Yeah.
And it's still good. It still rocks. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Rip City Drive. Get a few days off from the Blazers. That's a good thing. Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio, going to join me in studio for an entire show on Monday. And then tomorrow, Michael Holton on Hoops. He'll join me in studio at 5:20. I told one of my listeners, Jake Lang, that I would be happy to give him my Donovan Clingan glass. And so we're trying to set up a meeting place, and then he just told me he lives out in Gresham, and now I suddenly lost interest. I got to find a way to get a little bit closer than where he's at. He's out there by Glendevere.
I like that they gave him out after the game because they were worried if they gave him before the game, fans would just throw him at the court.
Almost a guarantee, 100% that would happen. You cannot give fans glasses before a game. It's a bad idea. We know what happens with fans. They'd be crazy, and something bad would happen or a bad call, and people would start launching it onto the floor. That'd be very bad. They're great glasses, though. Very good. Very good. I like collectibles like that. Were you big into collectibles when you were younger, Shacker?
Yeah, but I've learned with those glasses that they're not dishwasher safe. You put them in the dishwasher too many times, you'll just have a blank glass.
Yeah, no, you don't want to,
just hand wash it.
Hand wash it, and then it will last.
Or don't use it and just look at it.
Or you could just use it. Yeah, just set it up. I got mine set up on I got a nice desk in my room, so I have it sitting up, displayed. It's kind of cool. But, yeah, those are great. I like good collectibles like that. But those glasses are nice. Blazer fan Ray, I was like, I kept asking all the people, like, hey, Travis, you're the voice. Why you can't get us glasses? But Blazer fan Ray went out and was able to secure us a few glasses, which was very nice.
Would you drive to Gresham to pick up one if you had to? That's the only way you could get one?
No, because I try to avoid Gresham at all costs. It's just not my side of town. I live in Vancouver on the north side, north part of town. Gresham is out of the way. It really is.
Any golf courses that make you want to go out there?
No. I've played Rose City. Have I ever played Glendevere? I don't think I've ever played Glendevere, but I played Rose City, which is not really Gresham, but it's closer to that part of town. It's right off of 82nd.
All right, Gresham, pick it up. Get more golf courses, and then Chad will visit you.
But which part of town? Are you out close to Gresham now?
Yeah. I'm neighboring Gresham. I do my shopping out there.
What's your official address say? Like, what town are you officially in?
Unincorporated Clackamas County.
Unincorporated. Are you enjoying your new crib and where you're at now?
I love it. I know nothing about Portland politics. I know they got a new mayor. Know nothing about him or the candidates he beat.
You don't even care now, do you?
Yeah, not my city. Hope they do good.
Like, what's your reaction after? I haven't even talked to you. I know you weren't. I know you did not vote for Trump, but let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I'm in shock, but this is the country we live in, and this is the president we get.
Yeah, but you weren't surprised that she lost, were you?
Not surprised at all. It's all Joe Biden's fault for not bowing out sooner and having a primary process. He was old after he got elected. He should have been a lame duck president for 4 years. He got greedy with power, and this is what happens. Same thing with the Supreme Court Justice Ginsburg. She was greedy with power. She should have stepped down. She didn't. Republicans get another justice. These old people are just greedy with power.
Yeah, power-greedy people. But most human beings are greedy with power.
They want power till the day they die. It's disgusting.
Who would have gotten your vote in a primary? Like, did you have a candidate that you wanted to see jump into the primary had they opened it up at the convention?
Harris probably could have gotten my vote. Newsom, he's been out there, and he's young, so I'm not worried about him passing away after one term like everyone else that seems to be running for president.
All the old people?
Yeah.
All right. But, hey, it doesn't matter now. You're living in unincorporated Clackamas County.
Yeah, I live in my own country. I don't care.
How many animals do you have out there?
Right now, 6 cats, 2 dogs.
Any horses?
No horses.
Does your lady not raise horses?
Owns a horse, but it lives in Silverton, so always driving out down there.
Silverton's nice.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad that it lives out in Silverton, though. Why can't she have it where you guys live? Not a big enough yard?
In the future, we need fencing, we need a barn. It's going to take a few years.
Oh, so eventually you'll get the horse there.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, I found out with Charlie that even with fencing, sometimes they have a way of getting out. The horses are smart.
Oh. But I live next to a farm. They have like an electric fence between our property and theirs. They have pigs, roosters, and some other animals.
The rooster wake you up in the morning?
Oh, yeah. I hear it every morning. It's awesome.
And it's not just one. They do it all the time.
Yeah. But I usually wake up at sunrise anyways, so they really don't get to me, and I kind of like hearing them.
I like roosters. I just know that I learned from Charlie. I had a horse named Charlie and a rooster named Charlie, and when you would go in to get eggs, you had to be careful because Charlie would flog you. He was very protective of his ladies.
So not the horse that you're talking about. The rooster would be after you. Would run after you.
Yeah. Yeah, he would. He would. If you turned your back on him, he would jump up and try to peck your neck. He would flog you. He was crazy.
And you got your watch set, 6-hour countdown?
To what?
New episodes of Cobra Kai, 6
Cobra
hours,
Kai.
10 minutes.
Yeah. The problem is, here's what I'm concerned about. You know, I've had this issue before. Once I tap into a new session of Cobra Kai, I just pound them all at this. I can't stop watching.
It's only 5 episodes, so it's like watching a movie at midnight tonight. After Thursday night football.
Well, that's true. We don't have a Blazer game tomorrow, so I don't have to. Yeah, I can probably crush them all tonight. Have you watched Tulsa King?
Nope. I have not binge watched many shows. I mean, I'm fired up for Yellowstone coming back, but I haven't been binge watching.
Did you watch episode 1 of Yellowstone?
Yeah.
How good was that?
It's good. No more Kevin Costner. They found a way to write his character off the show. It's sad to see him go, but the show's still got enough great characters.
So was it good even without him?
Yeah.
I just can't believe they couldn't figure out a way to get Kevin in the show. He was great.
Yeah. And I haven't even watched that was it Horizon? He made a new trilogy. The second movie's going to come out soon. I haven't watched any of that.
Oh, by the way, I looked up the age. Brian Johnson's 77.
Oh, he could be president. I'd rather vote for him than what we got.
77. That's pretty old to be a head man for AC/DC.
We'll balance the budget and we'll be back in black.
Have you seen AC/DC in concert before?
Yeah, they were at Moda Center, I think, in 2001. It was awesome. It was like one of the loudest concerts I've ever been to.
Duke, the UPS driver, asked me about Persimmons. Yeah, Persimmons is awesome. Yeah, it's a great golf course. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Persimmons is very nice. I've got no issue with that. But again, Duke, you know how it goes with golf. Like I play during the summer months, basically from the end of the Blazers season up until October. I mean, I'm all golf all the time. So I think I counted up. I got 95 rounds in this season, which is terrific. But the thing is like, I play early in the morning before work. So timing is critical. So I'm going to pick courses that are closer based on convenience so I can get home, get cleaned up, and get to work. But, when you live in North Vancouver, cruising out to Gresham, it's just farther away. That's all.
We can do remotes at any golf course you want. We've done that in the past.
I'm all about that.
You just golf till 3 and then do the show.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Big thanks to Cale Wambacher and Alex Brink. Tomorrow, Michael Holton on Hoops. He'll be in studio at 5:20. Enjoy your evening, Michael Shacker. Thank you. Thank you for your help. I appreciate you. All right, you guys have a good night. We're back tomorrow, Rip City Drive at 3 here on your home of the Blazers, 6